Hey friends, thanks for joining me, Jim Baroud, to hear a few insights from leaders who represent our innovation ecosystem. Today's chat is with Dan Mangena, entrepreneur, podcast host, life and business coach, and global speaker. He is also the author of Money Game, Stepping Beyond Intention, Dreamer's Manifesto, and From Time to Time.
So I'm Daniel Mangena. I'm born in East London in the UK. My parents actually emigrated to the UK from Zimbabwe in the 70s. I was the first of my siblings to be born in London. I like to think of my life in a trilogy. And so we've got birth up until around the age, I want to say 23, by which time I've made and lost two multi-million-pound fortunes as an entrepreneur in the UK. In my fantastical arrogance of youth, I thought I knew everything, and I didn't, and ended up losing everything, not once, but twice. And so the second part of the story of Dan is from 23 up until 2018, when I actually was recovering effectively from that big slap around the face and the big humble pie of that, and really coming back from a really, really dark place and taking all of the things that I learned before that gave me that arrogant belief that I knew everything, and really putting it into a process of realizing that I didn't really know much at all, and really learning to apply and integrate everything that I'd learned so that I could do something different with it. And I was able to build myself back up. Thankfully, haven't lost everything again since rebuilding that time. I've actually continued to grow into different industries in different parts of the world. And then since February 2018, I've been called to really share that experience, the journey, the lessons that I've learned with people around the world, whether it's through my podcast, I write for Entrepreneur and some other magazines, my books, and the work that we do through personal development as a business also.
That's great. And where are you zooming in from now?
I live in Cabo, Los Cabos in Mexico. I've been here for 4 years, came for 3 days and stayed, and here I am today.
That sounds dreamy. That sounds really great. So everyone should go visit Cabo or at least Mexico, right?
100%. I think it's really funny because I've had friends that have come and have moved here as well. I'm actually, this office, I've got two offices. I've got this one and another one. This one, I can actually see the house of one of my friends. They came to do some diving and they were like, we like it here. I was like, you should speak to my realtor. And they bought a house and now they live here. They split the time between here and in California. And then I've had other friends that came and they were like, yeah, it's all right, cool, like nice, thanks for the holiday or whatever. It's like, why are you not in love with this place? So it's kind of one of those, I don't want to say Marmite. I only one person that's come hated it. It's because she was sick the whole time. The rest of my friends have either been like, I want to live here and moved, or been like, oh, this is nice, and I might come back again. So.
Lovely. Okay, so you do a lot of things. Your business today touches on people in different ways. Talk to us about what you do.
Mm-hmm. So when people ask what I do, I always kind of kick off with the same question that I'm going to pose now, which is, when you look out in nature, do you ever see anything other than abundance? Now, people might try and say, oh, what about this? And I say, actually, if you look, nature only falls out of the apparition of abundance when humans get involved. When humans get involved, we start to, we overfarm, we overfish, we burn down trees, blah, blah, blah. But even in the actions of humans, nature quickly establishes itself back into a space of equilibrium and growth. Even when there's a crack in the pavement, nature still seeks to grow through it and expand. Humans have forgotten, for the most part, that we are also a part of nature too. If you've watched The Matrix, then Agent Smith has a different idea of who and what we are, but we're part of nature. And so there is the availability for us to have this same experience of naturally occurring abundance. And the work that I get to do really is not activating, because to activate assumes that it's dormant, not even creating, because that assumes that it doesn't exist, but actually reminding us of our natural state so we can start to operate from that place.
Great. And so some of the things you talk about is alignment, right? So what do you mean about alignment? How can we better align ourselves to be more happy and healthy and successful?
Well, happiness, health, success, these are all outcomes. So if we're talking about aligning ourselves, to these, we're talking about taking us, taking the outcome and putting them together so that they are working in harmony with each other. In order for me to align with any of these outcomes, I need to understand the parts of me that exist so that I can align those parts of me, because these different parts of me operate in different ways. I have a physical body that moves through time and space, but we're all aware of the concept of mind over matter. People talk about the mind being the brain, but actually, if you study a bit of philosophy, you'll see that the mind isn't in the brain, it's accessed through the brain. So we've got this other level of experience, which isn't quite physical, which also has an impact on our actions, choices, and behaviors, which leads to our outcomes. But then we all understand that the law actually even recognizes the idea of crimes of passion. Our emotional state can impact the way that we think. The way that we think changes the way that we act, and therefore our outcome. So we've got this emotional experience, this mental experience, and this physical experience. And the way that we communicate with these different parts of ourselves is different too. So if I want to bring myself into alignment with an outcome, I need to bring my physical body, my mental capacity, my mental experience, and also my emotional state into alignment with the outcome.
Got it. And so what does meditation have to do with that sort of alignment?
Mm-hmm.
How do you think about meditation?
So meditation is a great tool if properly used. And yet what it ends up inadvertently being so often is the scapegoat and or the unconscious means by which we actually fall out of the process of actually stepping into full alignment. And what do I mean by that? We know people that work really, really hard, right? But they don't get the outcome that they want. Why? Because it doesn't matter how hard you work. If your reticular activating system is programmed to only see failure because you've got limiting beliefs, then all of that hard work is going to come to naught. I can work on my mindset as much as I want. I can read all of the books, I can go to all the courses, do all the things. If I don't change my actions, habits, and behaviors, there's going to be no change in my outcomes. I might feel better about the fact that my life's crap, but it's not going to get better. The same also goes to mindfulness and spiritual practices. I can meditate every single morning on abundance. I can sit and visualize in the ethers, smoking sage or whatever with crystals from Zamunda every morning for 10 hours. If my limiting beliefs haven't been addressed and my habits and behaviors don't change, nothing is going to change. And so the catchphrase that I've got around this is stop meditating. And people get a bit upset about this, but I'm saying I didn't say don't meditate. Meditation is a powerful tool when properly used. I can use meditation to impact my emotional state. I can use it to open up my neural pathway so that it's open to change. But if I don't follow through on that with new thoughts, with new actions, with new habits, new behaviors, I'm not going to get the outcome that I want. And so my invitation to people is, number one, yes, find some kind of mindfulness or spiritual practice that serves to impact your emotional state and also to support your new mindset. But also do the work of working on your mindset so that it matches and is aligned with your outcome, and then deal with those actions, those habits and behaviors so that you can actually then actually get the outcome that you want. Otherwise, it's a very fancy fantasy that you've got that you might feel good about not achieving, but you're not going to get there.
So I have always been challenged by meditation. Do you think, so it's good as long as it's in those parameters, right? So do you recommend meditation as a tool?
I recommend getting into a meditative state as a practice, but not everybody does that the same way. So for example, there are some people who find that they can enter into, and again, a meditative state is measurable because your brainwaves literally change. Your brainwaves change when you're in the act of meditation. There are many different ways to achieve that outcome of the change in brainwaves, right? I know people that get it from running. I know people that get it from sex, through tantric practice, which is another spiritual practice if done properly, right? I know people that get it through playing music, people that get it from going for a run. My invitation is to not try the cookie cutter approach of meditation, but find the thing that works for you to bring you to that meditative state, which might not be traditionally understood meditation, of which there are so many different types, and you may just have to find the one that works for you. I was speaking to a friend of mine when I was in Dubai just the other day about he's doing transcendental meditation, TM, and it's changed the game for him. I met him through a guided meditation community, and yet he finds that this one is actually more effective. I know people that can't do guided meditation, they need silent meditation. It's like whatever's going to work for you, do that, and also do it in an amount that achieves the goal, not the one that everyone tells you to. You might not need an hour. I was in Mount Shasta back in 2018 or 2019, and I went to the Saint Germain, the IM Institute. I just wanted to check out the place and meet the guys that wear purple, whatever. And they've got a meditation room there, and you're actually not allowed to be in the meditation room for any more than 15 minutes. It's part of their belief system. Anything more than 15 minutes of meditation is gluttony, essentially. And yet there are people that are beating themselves up because they can't meditate for an hour. Again, find what works for you, not what everyone says you should be doing.
Got it. I like the context you put that in. That's really helpful. Now, you have spoken about the manifestation of money, right?
Yeah.
How does that fit into your some of the things you talk about and teach folks on?
Mm-hmm. So first and foremost, some people get upset with me that I talk about money. It's like, oh, money is the root of all evil. No, the love of money is the root of all evil, right? And yet, when we're talking about creating new outcomes, there are very few things that have as great utility as money and are as tangible and measurable as money. Happiness has got great utility. I could teach people how to manifest happiness, but how could we track whether or not the outcome's been achieved or not? With money, if you come and do one of my challenges, for example, my 5-day challenge around money, or you read the Money Game book, and if it works, you know it works. If it doesn't work after you do everything properly, then you know I'm full of it. But now we've got thousands and thousands and thousands of people who have actually gone through the process and have actually manifested money. And those that don't, we can generally tell them quite quickly why it hasn't shown up, and we can change the game for them and they can achieve. But the really cool thing about reality is that there aren't different rules for how different things are manifested and created. You manifest and create. But when you can learn to sharpen and hone those skills with something that you can measure and track, now you've got the ability to have evidence that you can do the thing. You can go and then apply it to something else. You can go and apply it to your relationships. You can go and apply it to your health. You can go and apply it to finding your purpose. So money really is, it's a great scorekeeper for us developing the mastery to consciously create the life that we want. And we can then go and take that capacity, go and take that mastery and apply it to everything else as well.
Got it. And so, as you alluded to, there are other things that are more important in life, right?
Yeah,
so
of course.
Talk about that. How should we view money as a component?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, no matter how we feel about this money thing, it is literally the easiest mode of exchange for anything else that you could want in your life. Think about it. You want health? You can actually get the healthiest foods. You can have the best health practitioners, unlimited access to the best resources for your health if you've got money to exchange. You've got freedom that comes from having that medium of exchange. Talk about relationships. You have the opportunity to experience all of life, to create the opportunity for you and your loved ones to have the most amazing life experiences and to do the coolest stuff. Can you do it without money? Of course you can. Is it easy if you can just write a check? Of course it is. So again, it's just this really easy medium of exchange. You want to travel somewhere, you want to go and have this cool experience, you want to do something, you want to empower your loved ones to go and do cool. Do you want to be of contribution? You want to go and give to charity and build schools? I build a lot of schools, build health clinics. We support people and empowering them to go and have new choices. I can do it because I've got money. Could I do it without? Yes. But at some point, someone's going to have to foot the bill for money. Why not have the resources to have the choices to do it for yourself rather than needing to ask someone else to do it for you?
Right. And clearly you see in Mexico, people who are poor can be happy, right?
Yes, of course. Money's not the thing that makes you happy, but it's a way to ensure that the conditions that you have mentally ascribed to happiness are more available to you. Because at the end of the day, whether we like it or not, we're all operating on a series of cognitive biases about what we consider to be the route to happiness. Whether or not we get there and achieve happiness when we have the thing isn't the point. If I don't know what I don't know about how I'm going to feel when something is achieved, then I'm going to be in a space of misery having not achieved it. I can say, oh, I'd be happy only if I had $1 million. I'm miserable now because I don't have $1 million because I'm waiting for the $1 million to make me happy. Is that the truth of it? No, the truth is you can be happy now. But if I'm caught in the loop of this illusion that I require the million, and then I don't have the million, I'm double damned. Whereas even if I get the million, I can then actually, through the process of achieving it, see that, hang on a minute, maybe I've had these stories about needing this to be happy, and I can be happy without it. So it's a weird double-edged sword there, I think.
Yeah, and it's even more challenging in today's modern era, right? With social media, right? The prospect of keeping up with the Joneses, keeping up with your friends and peers, and showing. We used to call it showing off, right? I mean, so it's really a dilemma, right? If people don't have their mind, I'm sure you see that all the time, right?
Yeah, especially, I mean, I spend a fair bit of time in the Middle East again now, more previously, but sort of getting back into it now. And there are a lot. It's really funny. So I like watches, as we were discussing before, and a friend of mine, he laughed because there's so many people that buy like fake designer clothes and fake designer watches in order to have this illusion of keeping up with the Joneses. And yet the Joneses that you're trying to keep up with might not even be as happy as you think they are, right? On social media, we've got all of these people projecting different identities and these different stories and narratives that they're putting forward. And yet, if we put more attention and focus on intentionally looking at who we are, what we truly desire, where we are in relationship to those desires and alignment to them, and what steps we can be making towards that, we'd be a lot less available to actually be spending our time dreaming about what other people are living. And so when this conversation, this line of discussion comes up, I always see it as a reminder for me, and also an opportunity to remind people, focus on what you are called to experience and focus on actually moving yourself towards that. And you'll find yourself a lot less available to be caught up on other people in the life that they're living.
Right. And is that sort of sketched out in your book called The Money Game, what you just said, or can you elaborate on what that book, talks about?
Money Game is a very short book. It's essentially a playbook of my money game. It's a money manifestation tool that I came up with. You can get through it in probably an hour and a half because it's a playbook. There's no fluff. This is what the money game is. This is how it works. This is how you play it. And we've got, if people go to dreamwithdan.com/money game, they can get it for $1. And they'll also get a load of other bonuses, including access to a challenge that I did around it and some other stuff that they can get. But the challenge that we take people through, which is available, we've got it on in our Facebook group. You can go and do it anytime. There's no money involved. You just go and do the thing. And you'll see, because we've been running that same series of videos has been up for a couple of years now. You'll see people play it and they post their results. They'll post the check. They'll post the money that they've manifested. They post the evidence of it. And the record that's been reported now, because not everybody reports, is $75,000 in 2 days playing this. Yeah, it's wild what happens when you play the game, because what it does is it challenges you to completely unwind and reconstruct your belief about what you need to do to bring money into your experience. Because the fact of the matter is that money wants to come to you as an energy, as a consciousness. It seeks a home so that it can be expressed because it wants to move. And so this idea that, oh, money doesn't want to come to me, it wants to come to you, but you need to understand how to call it in and how to communicate with it. And that's what Money Game teaches you how to do.
Huh, how interesting. So another term you use is called microshifting.
Yeah.
How does that relate to money or people?
Relates to everything. Microshifting is, so here's the thing. So I did some, Tony Robbins work, as most of us to cut our teeth in personal development have done. I'm sure you've probably done the fire walk as well and all of the things, right? And, he talks about massive action, quantum leap. And, I've been doing personal development stuff for 22 years. I read Think and Grow Rich when I was 16 years old. That's when I really started my personal development journey. And not everybody can do the massive action thing, right? We all have the potential for massive action, but we all have the capacity for a consistent series of compounded baby steps that lead us towards an outcome. I can sit here contemplating getting myself psyched up and hitting myself on the chest and stoked up to go and eat the elephant, or I could take a little bit everywhere. It's like even the whole thing of, they tell you should drink X amount of liters of water a day. The simple microshift is every hour, drink a glass of water. Drink a glass of water on the hour. You'll get through that. My signature program is called Micro to Millions. We take people from 0 to 1.6 billion and beyond. We can do it in less than a year. We've seen that happen multiple times. But the reason why it works is because we don't actually help you make a million. We help you make one step. And we've got a particular formula that we go through, and then we go to the next step. And then we go to the next step, and then we go to the next step. And by going through those steps in those baby steps, building momentum, building consistent action towards the outcome, everybody can tap into that capacity that they have that's more available than just the potential of massive action. And that's what microshifts are all about.
Got it. Well, this has been great. Before we end, Dan, I want to ask you, give us just one takeaway that we can all use, one tip that we can all use that can lead to greater happiness and success.
I'd say it's this. There's a Danism, as I told you, I told that word's going to come out. There's a Danism, push your edge and not your buttons. Push your edge and not your buttons. We just spoke about microshifting. We've spoken about a lot of other concepts. We've spoken about some new ideas that people might want to go and implement. Find where you are at an edge in terms of how much you can implement and apply today. Push it a little bit, but not so much that you're thrown into a place where you're discombobulated, when you're stressed, when you feel overwhelmed. If every day you find the edge of what you can do that day in terms of what you can read, what you can listen to, what you can learn, and what you can apply, and push it just a little bit, there's going to be growth that's at a comfortable rate of discomfort, right? So pushing your edge and not your buttons is about being in a space of growth, but not so much growth that you end up cancerous, right? And overgrowing, which is what, cancer does when cells multiply too much. So push your edge and not your buttons. Find the edge of what you can achieve, go just beyond that, and keep doing that on a consistent basis.
Great advice. Thank you. And we usually end with a poem or a saying. What would you like to share with us, Dan?
I got one for you. None of us are getting out of this life thing alive, so don't take it all so seriously.
I love that. That's super. That's great stuff. Great way to end this. Dan, well, I thank you for coming on the show. Really appreciate it. Thanks for joining us. I hope you enjoyed the show. Please like it, leave a review, and subscribe. See you soon.